48 hours before a planned invasion, Chinese DF-21 missiles hidden 90 miles from Florida. America discovers them by accident. What happens next changes everything. October 22, 2025, 11:47 p.m. A U.S. reconnaissance satellite passes over western Cuba. Standard surveillance sweep. Nothing expected. The thermal imaging picks up unusual heat signatures near San Cristobal, the exact same location where Soviet missiles triggered the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. History doesn't repeat, but it sure rhymes. The signatures don't match Cuban military equipment. They're too hot, too precise. The satellite data streams to Space Force headquarters in Colorado Springs. Analysts flag the anomaly within minutes. By 2:15 a.m., the images land on the desk of Admiral James Richardson at U.S. Southern Command. He's seen Chinese military hardware before. These signatures match DF-21D anti-ship ballistic missiles, the carrier killers, deployed 90 miles from American shores. What's your weapon of choice in a scenario like this? Type A for immediate airstrike. Type B for covert special operations. Drop your answer below. China had been planning this for 18 months. Intelligence later revealed the operation's codename, Dragon's Anchor. The plan was simple, but devastating. Position intermediate-range missiles in Cuba. Create a no-go zone in the Caribbean. Force the U.S. Navy to reroute. Break America's naval supremacy in the Western Hemisphere. The missiles arrived in shipping containers marked as agricultural equipment, 40-foot containers, each holding a mobile launcher and 3 missiles. 6 containers total, 18 missiles, range of 1-200 miles. That covers every major military installation from Key West to Charleston, every naval base on the eastern seaboard, every carrier group in the Atlantic. The Cuban government claimed ignorance. They said China leased an old agricultural facility for a research station. Agricultural research doesn't need missile-grade concrete bunkers. It doesn't need restricted airspace. It doesn't need the kind of power infrastructure that appeared overnight. Satellite imagery from June showed normal farmland. By August, there were reinforced structures, climate-controlled storage, advanced radar installations, and those telltale thermal signatures of fueled missiles ready to launch. China's confidence was staggering. They believed the U.S. wouldn't discover the deployment until after the Taiwan invasion began. That was the master plan. Lock down the Caribbean, force American carriers to choose. Defend Taiwan or defend the homeland. Split U.S. military attention across 2 oceans. By the time America responded to Cuba, Taiwan would be gone. At least that's what Beijing calculated. But what they didn't know was that the satellite pass was pure luck. Or maybe not luck. Maybe divine intervention. Maybe fate. The satellite wasn't even supposed to scan that sector. A technical glitch redirected its orbit by 0.3 degrees. That tiny deviation put San Cristobal directly in the crosshairs. Sometimes history turns on the smallest margins. President Morrison received the briefing at 4:30 a.m. in the White House Situation Room. The evidence was ironclad. Satellite thermals, signal intelligence intercepts, CIA human assets confirming Chinese military personnel on site. The president had 48 hours before China's planned Taiwan invasion. Intelligence indicated August 17th at dawn. Beijing time. The missiles in Cuba were insurance. A loaded gun pointed at America's head. A deterrent to stop U.S. intervention in the Pacific. The decision tree was simple but brutal. Option 1. Diplomacy. Demand. China remove the missiles. That takes weeks. Negotiations. UN Security Council resolutions. Meanwhile, Taiwan falls. Option 2. Economic sanctions. Freeze Chinese assets. Cut off trade. That takes months to bite. Taiwan doesn't have months, it has hours. Option 3. Military action. Remove the missiles by force. That means war. Not just in Cuba, everywhere. Morrison chose option 4, the option that wasn't on the official menu. Overwhelming speed, decisive action, total surprise. He gave the order at 5 a.m. Operation Restoration. The goal wasn't just to destroy the missiles, it was to send a message so loud that Beijing would hear it in their sleep. U.S. Special Operations Command activated JSOC at 5:15 a.m. Joint Special Operations Command, the tip of America's spear. Navy SEALs from DevGru, Delta Force operators. 24th Special Tactics Squadron from Air Force Special Operations. 160th SOAR helicopter pilots. The best of the best. They had 43 hours to plan and execute an operation that would normally take 6 months. The tactical problem was massive. 6 missile sites spread across 12 square miles, each site guarded by Chinese People's Liberation Army Special Forces. Estimated 200 to 250 personnel total. Armed with QBZ-95 rifles, HJ-12 anti-tank missiles, FN-6 surface-to-air missiles. They had hardened positions, overlapping fields of fire, advanced early warning systems. Taking them head-on would be a bloodbath. JSOC commanders made a critical decision. Don't attack the sites, attack the infrastructure, cut the power, kill the communications, blind the radar. Then the missiles are just expensive paperweights. You can't launch what you can't control. The plan crystallized. 3-phase operation. Phase 1, cyber warfare. Phase 2, precision strikes. Phase 3, ground assault. All synchronized to the second. Any delay, and the whole operation collapses. If you're enjoying this deep dive into modern warfare, take a moment to hit that subscribe button. U.S. Cyber Command launched the digital assault at exactly 2 a.m. on August 16th. They'd been mapping Cuba's power grid for years. Every transformer, every substation, every junction box. The cyber weapons were already in place, sleeping inside the network, waiting for activation. At 2 a.m., they woke up. The power grid around San Cristobal started failing, not all at once. That would be too obvious. One substation every 7 minutes, random intervals. It looked like aging infrastructure giving up. Just another night in Cuba's struggling electrical system. By 3:30 a.m., the missile sites were running on backup generators. That's exactly what JSOC wanted. Generators are loud, they create heat signatures, they're easy to target, and they only have so much fuel. The Chinese defenders didn't realize they'd been herded into a kill box. They thought they were dealing with a local power outage, standard Caribbean infrastructure problems. They had no idea the storm was coming. Phase 2 began at 4 a.m. 2 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers departed Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, each carrying 16 GBU-39 small-diameter bombs, 250-pound precision weapons, GPS-guided, able to hit a target the size of a car from 40,000 feet. The B-2s flew south over the Gulf of Mexico. Cuban radar never saw them. Chinese radar never saw them. Stealth technology doing what it does best, becoming invisible. At 6:45 a.m., the bombers released their payload. 32 bombs falling through the darkness, each one locked onto a specific target. Communications towers, radar installations, command bunkers, backup generators. The weapons hit within a 90-second window. Synchronized destruction. The missile sites went completely dark. No power, no comms, no radar. Just confused Chinese soldiers wondering what the hell just happened. That's when Phase 3 launched. 4 MH-47G Chinooks lifted off from a classified location. Each helicopter carried 20 operators, 80 elite warriors total. They flew nap of the Earth, 50 feet above the Caribbean, below radar coverage. The helicopters split into two teams, Alpha Team, Bravo Team, each targeting 3 missile sites. The flight time was 18 minutes. The operators used every second to review the mission. Photos, 3D models, rehearsed movements. They'd trained on a mock-up for 36 hours straight. The Chinooks flared into the landing zones at exactly 7:03 a.m. Ramps dropped. Operators poured out, thermal optics lighting up the darkness. The Chinese defenders were caught in the worst possible position. They'd just been bombed. They had no communications, no way to coordinate, no way to call for help. And now they had American special operators kicking down their doors. What would you have done when you realized you're cut off, surrounded, and outgunned? Comment your answer below. The ground assault was surgical. Door breaches with shaped charges, flashbangs, suppressed weapons. The operators moved through the sites like ghosts. Room clearing, target identification. Most Chinese personnel surrendered immediately. Some tried to fight. It was over in minutes. Alpha Team secured their 3 sites in 11 minutes. Bravo Team took 14 minutes. 0 American casualties. 18 Chinese killed. 176 captured. The rest fled into the jungle. But here's where it gets interesting. The operators didn't just secure the sites. They documented everything. Photos, videos, serial numbers on every piece of equipment. They wanted proof, undeniable evidence of Chinese military presence. The missiles were still on their launchers, DF-21D anti-ship ballistic missiles, each one worth $10.5 million, each one capable of sinking an aircraft carrier. 6 launchers, 18 missiles, $189 million in hardware, all captured intact. JSOC brought in explosive ordnance disposal teams. EOD techs disabled the warheads, drained the fuel, made the missiles inert. Then they did something unprecedented. They loaded them onto U.S. Air Force C-17 Globemasters. All 6 launchers, all 18 missiles, everything. Flew it to Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, put it on display for the world to see. China deployed offensive weapons 90 miles from American shores. Here's the proof. No denials, no propaganda, just facts. The operation lasted 4 hours and 26 minutes. From the first bomb drop to the last helicopter extraction, the Chinese government went ballistic. They claimed the missiles were defensive. They called it an illegal U.S. invasion of Cuban sovereign territory. They threatened retaliation. The White House released the evidence. Satellite photos, signal intercepts, videos of Chinese military personnel, serial numbers proving the missiles came from China's Wanshan Special Vehicle Company. The world saw everything. Support the channel by giving this video a thumbs up if you found it valuable. Beijing's Taiwan invasion plan collapsed. The carrier-killer missiles were supposed to keep U.S. carriers away from the Pacific. Now they were sitting in a Florida museum. The psychological impact was devastating. China spent years developing the DF-21D, calling it unstoppable, the carrier killer. And America snatched them without firing a shot at sea. The PLA Navy reconsidered their timeline. If the U.S. could neutralize the Cuba deployment in 4 hours, what would they do to an invasion fleet crossing the Taiwan Strait? The diplomatic fallout was massive. Cuba denied knowing about the missiles. China blamed Cuba for the security failure. The Sino-Cuban relationship fractured. Russia stayed silent. They remembered 1962. They knew how this movie ended. The UN Security Council convened emergency sessions. China vetoed every resolution. But the court of public opinion had already ruled. You don't hide missiles in another hemisphere unless you're planning something. U.S. intelligence later revealed the full scope of Dragon's Anchor. The Cuba deployment was Phase 1. Phase 2 involved similar missile installations in Venezuela. Phase 3 targeted Nicaragua. China was building a Caribbean network, a ring of steel around the soft underbelly of the United States. The Cuba raid killed the entire plan. Venezuela quietly declined further Chinese military cooperation. Nicaragua suddenly discovered infrastructure problems. The whole network collapsed. The economic damage to China was staggering. The captured missiles revealed technical specifications. American engineers studied them for months. Every weakness, every vulnerability, every design flaw. That intelligence fed directly into U.S. anti-missile defense systems. China's $2.1 billion DF-21 program was compromised. They'd have to start over. New designs, new technologies, years of work, and billions of dollars gone. American deterrence was restored. You don't mess with U.S. interests 90 miles from Florida. The message was clear. We will find you. We will stop you. We will do it faster than you can react. Beijing received that message. So did Moscow. So did every adversary watching. The Taiwan invasion was postponed indefinitely. Not cancelled. Postponed. The PLA needed time to recalculate, to develop new strategies, to figure out how to counter American speed and precision. Military analysts call the Cuba operation a masterclass in joint warfare. Cyber Command disabled the infrastructure. Air Force bombers destroyed the defenses. JSOC operators captured the objective. All synchronized perfectly. All executed flawlessly. It's the kind of operation that takes years to plan. They did it in 43 hours. That's American military power. That's decades of training and technology paying off. This kind of detailed tactical breakdown takes hours to research. Subscribe to help us keep making them. The operators who executed the mission received classified commendations. Most of their names will never be public. They don't want recognition. They want to keep doing the job. Protecting America from threats most people never know existed. That's the nature of special operations. The quiet professionals. The ones who run towards danger while everyone else runs away. Cuba became a lesson in strategic miscalculation. China thought geographical distance meant safety. They thought 90 miles from Florida was far enough. They thought America wouldn't notice until it was too late. They were wrong on every count. America has eyes everywhere. Satellites, signals, intelligence, human assets. And when America decides to act, distance becomes irrelevant. 4 hours and 26 minutes. That's all it took to dismantle an 18-month operation. The geopolitical implications are still unfolding. China's Belt and Road Initiative lost credibility. If Beijing can't protect a military deployment in Cuba, how can they protect infrastructure projects in Africa or Asia? Partner nations started questioning Chinese security guarantees. Some deals quietly fell apart. Others were renegotiated with less favorable terms. The Cuba failure cost China more than missiles. It cost them reputation. American military doctrine evolved from the operation. The Pentagon now emphasizes speed over mass. Get there first, hit hard, leave before the enemy can respond. It's asymmetric warfare at the strategic level. Don't match your enemy's strengths, exploit their weaknesses. China built missiles to sink carriers. America neutralized them before they ever launched. That's fighting smart. The captured DF-21 missiles now sit in the National Museum of the United States Air Force, open to the public, a testament to American resolve, a warning to future adversaries. The plaques don't mention classified details. They don't name the operators. But everyone knows the story. Chinese missiles 90 miles from home, gone in 4 hours. The exhibit is called Restoration, not Destruction, not Invasion, Restoration. restoring American security, restoring deterrence, restoring the balance of power. Was this operation a justified defensive action or an aggressive provocation? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Looking back, the satellite malfunction that detected the missiles seems almost miraculous. A 0.3-degree orbital deviation. That's about 20 miles at satellite altitude. Without that glitch, the missiles might have stayed hidden. The Taiwan invasion might have succeeded. The entire Pacific balance of power might have shifted. Sometimes history turns on the smallest details. A malfunction, a lucky break, or maybe something more. The lesson for America's adversaries is simple. Don't test American resolve close to home. Don't assume distance provides protection. Don't underestimate American intelligence and capability. The United States has global reach, global awareness, and when threatened, global response. The Cuba operation proved it. 4 hours and 26 minutes, from discovery to dismantlement. If you made it this far, you're the core of our community. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell. For China, the failure was humiliating. State media barely mentioned it. When they did, they called it a misunderstanding. They claimed the missiles were for defensive purposes only. They said Cuba invited them. Nobody believed it. The evidence was too clear. The operation too blatant. Beijing learned a hard lesson. American military power isn't just about carriers and bombers. It's about speed, intelligence, coordination, and the willingness to act decisively when threatened. The story of 48 hours before invasion is really a story about deterrence, about maintaining peace through strength, about showing adversaries the cost of aggression before they commit. China wanted to change the rules. America enforced them. No missiles near our shores, no threats to our allies, no tolerance for strategic miscalculation. That's not aggression, that's survival. Future historians will study the Cuba Missile Crisis of 2024. They'll compare it to 1962. They'll analyze the decisions, the tactics, the outcomes, and they'll conclude what military professionals already know. American power is most effective when used quickly, precisely, and overwhelmingly. China deployed missiles. America captured them. 4 hours and 26 minutes. That's the difference between planning aggression and facing consequences. Your engagement directly shapes what we cover next. Drop a comment and subscribe. The operators are back at their bases now, training for the next mission. The analysts are monitoring the next threat. The satellites are watching. The cyber warriors are preparing. Because there will always be adversaries testing American resolve. There will always be threats emerging. And there will always be Americans ready to meet them, ready to act, ready to protect freedom. That's not just military doctrine. That's national character. So remember the lesson of San Cristobal. Remember the 48 hours that changed everything. Remember that American security isn't just about walls and weapons. It's about awareness, speed, precision, and the warriors willing to execute impossible missions. They're out there right now, watching, waiting, ready. And adversaries around the world know it. That's deterrence. That's peace through strength. That's America.